Squid Game, the challenge might be the most unpredictable reality competition yet due to how much luck and chance determine the outcome of most games. But perhaps the most shocking development in the first season of Netflix's Squid Game reality spin-off? The fact that it all came down to an intense rock, paper, scissors showdown. But the finale could have looked very different. Squid Game. The challenge producers John Hay and Stephen Lambert tell EW that other ideas were considered for the last game. Plus, they break down how player 287/MyWhalen beat player 451/Phil Kane to take home the massive $4.56 million prize and so much more. Check out their full interview below. John Hay. Well, we thought we'd avoid anyone stabbing anyone else with a steak knife to start. But it's the same challenge we faced all the way through the series, really, which is to create something that felt true to the world and dynamics and atmosphere of what happened in the scripted show, but also worked in an unscripted context. We threw a few ideas around before we came up with the buttons. The buttons felt like they had some of the essence of what was happening in that reduction of 3-2, without involving any actual violence. Stephen Lambert. We spent a long time working on the probabilities and trying to assess whether or not people would step up, because our worry was that nobody would go up, they would just sit there and wait. But whether our math was right or not, the belief was that it was better to go up first, because then you had a 2/3 of a chance that you would either pick the button that did nothing or you'd pick the button that would take you through. Whereas if you waited, that's where the math starts getting complicated. Somebody else goes up, and then you're now 50-50 because if the previous person is picked. Laughs. Anyway, I'll stop. You're taking me back, Stephen, to the day of our brains coming out of our ears with trying to calculate the probability math, and then calling various academics and people who were really experts in the field. Correctly in my opinion, thought that if she didn't go up and one of the other two did, and they picked the green button, then she would be toast. Because they would pick the other guy if they had picked the green. She went, and of course she got the neutral button, so then, again, Sam and Phil could have just carried on sitting there, but they decided that one of them had to play ball, and they did. Unfortunately, it wasn't good for Sam. Lambert, but it shows the interaction of game and character, because we had to design and settle on that game before we knew who was in the final. There is a very logical mathematical layer of probability behind it, but also it changes totally depending on what the relationships are between those three people. There's a knowable and an unknowable part of it, and it became very interesting when it was Phil, Sam, and because you knew the dynamics of that trio would change the outcome too.